Thank the chairwoman. I would ask Mr. Guthrie if it makes sense to you, as I understand the current situation, that a vaccinated person with COVID can enter the United States, but an unvaccinated person who doesn't have COVID could be denied entry. The same person with those different facts.
There's not a testing requirement. If you show proof of, so if I took my vaccination card, well, I'm a U.S. citizen, so it wouldn't affect me coming in. But if I was a
non-citizen
coming into the United States, I can show my vaccine card. There's not a requirement to test. So you technically, your question would be yes. I would assume is that when you think through the question, but yes, you could show proof of vaccination but still have COVID be able to transmit it.
Right, which defies logic. We've covered the ground on the CDC director and others who have made clear the issues with respect to transmission. But I do want to point out I can't remember which witness it was, had made the point about Title 42 and trying to suggest that, well, everybody is saying use Title 42 to keep immigrants out, and, aren't you concerned about what this will mean here, what we're trying to talk about with respect to the gentleman from Kentucky's bill? It's like, hold on a second. This issue about Title 42, with respect to COVID, a decision made that has been implemented by the Border Patrol, but not decided by the Border Patrol, right? This is under the health statutes, that we have the power and authority to say we can turn away at the border. That has been promoted by some as a way to stop a third-ish of the flow when you have 8,000 people a day coming to the border. But it's not a border security policy. So the issue here in terms of using Title 42 for border policy is absurd, but that's how it's being used. And to try to flip that on its head and say, oh, well, you guys are hypocritical in wanting to pass the gentleman from Kentucky's bill doesn't make any sense. It's not remotely logical, because we're trying to make sure that we even the playing field, and we're trying to follow the science, and we're trying to say, as Mr. Massey pointed out, there's like 130 countries no longer doing this, something along those lines, and a whole lot of the more poor and lesser developed countries are hit the hardest in terms of folks who can come here. I'm also amused by all of the people who are riled up about President Trump's ban, on travel from terrorist safe havens that was always referred to as the Muslim ban, right? And so but here the hardest hit, those 7 countries are among the least vaccinated. I think the issue here is that there's it goes to the heart of the reason people care. And the ranking member said, well, nobody in America cares about what we're trying to move since Republicans have been in the majority. Well, we're trying to get the IRS out of the lives of the American people. We're trying to protect babies who are born alive, yet unbelievably, our Democratic colleagues don't think that's a worthwhile endeavor. We're trying to protect the Strategic Petroleum Reserve when the current president dumped 200 million barrels out of it, weakening our national security. We're trying to have a serious discussion here about ending the public health emergency, ending the CMS mandates that I can promise you millions of Americans are concerned about, thousands that I've interacted with that have lost their jobs. And now what we're trying to do is point out the craziness that we've allowed to infiltrate our decision-making with who can come into this country with respect to vaccines, when you've got a situation where someone who is vaccinated but is positive with COVID can come into the United States, but someone who is unvaccinated but doesn't have COVID can't. It's extraordinary. And I think it just displays the logical disconnect with everything that we're trying to do here. So I support the gentleman from Kentucky, and I would yield to the gentleman from Kentucky.